Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Logify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.
Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels and short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Tuesday, wherever you get your podcasts. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Leo. How's it going?
I'm very well, my friend. I'm very well. I'm feeling quite jubilant this morning. We've got some beautiful blue skies down here, and yeah, life's good. Life's good. How about you?
Jubilant. I love that. I haven't heard that word in ages, but I am a fan. Yeah, doing really well. Today is a holiday in Spain, and those are my favorite days to work because there's nobody doing construction at 8 a.m. Nothing is open. None of the Spaniards are awake. It's just fabulous. I woke up, took my dog for a walk this morning. Nobody on the streets. Oh, it was great. It's great. So I'm loving it.
Love that. I love that attitude. That's very, dare I say it, very American. That you go, God, isn't it great when everyone's on holiday and I can work properly, undisturbed?
It's true, though. It's true. Also, like half of our office, the people that have kids or, you observe the local holidays and stuff are off. And so it is quieter in the office. And so I have fewer slacks coming through and all this kind of stuff. And I got so much done this morning. That's great.
Well, we know Catalonia likes a holiday. What's this one for?
Yeah, this is Constitution Day, which I'm entirely sure that the Catalans are like all about the Spanish Constitution because they want to change it. Well, at least 50% of them do. But I don't know. They do love a holiday. So there's only, to be fair, like the one that they typically boycott is El Día de la Hispanidad, which is like Spanish Day. I call it Colonizer Day because it's basically celebrating when Christopher Columbus landed in the Americas and colonized everybody. So that's one that I think people are starting to get more and more conscious about not celebrating or celebrating it in a different way. But that one they do usually boycott and actually go to the office.
There you go. There you go. They boycott for different reasons, but still there's a boycott going on. Love it. We've got political, haven't we? Wow, we got political.
Well, I think the economy likes that they boycott by going to work. So, why not?
How's life? You're recovered from your jet lag?
Oh my gosh, I'm finally recovered from my jet lag. It has been a week though. I am not 25 anymore, It really hit me. It really hit me. I think I just forget too. It happened to me last year when I came back. And it's almost like when it gets really cold or really hot, I always wonder, has it always been this hot? Has it always been this cold? And that's exactly what I felt like with the jet lag. It took me days to get over it. Where I would be like really tired at 3 p.m. and be like, yeah, I'm going to sleep so well tonight. And then I'd be in bed just like until 4 a.m. So finally on a normal, more or less normal Spanish circadian rhythm. Let's call it.
I feel so sorry for you because even an extra hour is the killer with jet lag, right? I can just about get away with it when I go to the East Coast, but like if I go any further, if I go to 6 hours, I'm done for. And that's what it would have been for you, right? It would have been the solid 6, right? And forget about it. Then you get into the realms of it's just awesome. Well, look, we're pleased to have you back in spirit as well as in body. We're excited to do some chat with you this week. I've got to say, I'm loving life at the coast, Sarah.
I knew you would.
The best. I'm jogging every morning on the seafront. I've got blue skies. I'm having to wear sunglasses in the winter in the UK, which is just unheard of. So, I was born in a very, very grey northern part of the UK, and the fact that I can live somewhere and wear sunglasses half the time, it's just incredible. And I thought of a new way that you can keep me honest. Right, this is good. You'll like this one. I was set the challenge that I have to try and swim in the sea at least once in every month of the year.
Okay. I like it.
So I missed November because I was new, I was settling in, but it means I've got to get in the sea once in December. And that's
Once,
not
or
easy.
should we say twice because you cheated in November? Let's go with twice.
Ooh, brutal. No, that's too much honesty, Sarah. Wow. I brought you in and now you're using it against me. Right, fine. Okay. So I've got to swim twice in December. I'm not looking forward to January, February. December, I think I'll be able to go. But yeah, for people who aren't familiar with the UK climate, we don't have a Mediterranean climate here, and it is chilly. So yeah, Sarah, keep me honest, okay? I'm going to go for it.
I'll keep you honest. I used to do it in Barcelona. I did this like crazy fitness program a few years ago. And part of the crazy fitness program was cold showers every morning, which I still do most of the time. And I actually really like that. But also once a week, we would all get together and do like a proper dip in the sea. And my program started in February. So it was cold. Not as cold as I'm sure yours is going to be. You know what you should do, Leo? You should look up, and I wonder if they do this in Brighton. They do in Barcelona. It's called the Christmas plunge or something. And all these people dress up in red Speedos and wear Santa hats. And they do this swim on Christmas morning in the port of Barcelona. It's fabulous. And once you do the swim, very Spanish style, once you've completed it, they give you a free beer. So, why not?
Well, they do it in Brighton. They do, and I've done it a couple of years ago with my mother-in-law, who's a phenomenal swimmer, who was brave enough to get in there in all weathers. And I now have got my idea for Christmas. We should be giving out the free beers because nobody does that. Right, I'm going to buy a crate of beers and I'm going to give them out on Christmas Day, and I will run in. For me, it's just a run in, run out. When I say swim once every month of the year, in those winter months, it's a run in, run out, and my feet might take off momentarily, But that's it.
2 minutes.
That's
You
it.
got to give it 2 minutes.
Stop it, Sarah. Stop it.
It's true.
Stop it.
It doesn't count if it's not 2 minutes, Leo. I'm holding you honest. That's what
Okay.
Wim Hof says. Wim Hof says 2 minutes minimum.
All right. Fans of cold water swimming, please feel free to write in, send us a message, tell us what you think. Okay, I'm going to go for 120 seconds. Right. Well, look, we seem to have accidentally got a little bit Christmassy in that conversation, which we love, right? Because we're both fans of the best holiday of the year, which is Christmas. And it would be remiss, right, not to focus on where people are looking at booking this Christmas, because you get into that mood, especially if you don't have kids. Let's live in that fantasy world, but I don't have children for a second. Where you start to think, I want to go and do my Christmas shopping, but I don't want to do it in my local supermarket. I want to do it in my local high street. I want to go away. And so what caught my eye this week as an SDR highlight, I love that Holiday have put together a list of Europe's most festive cities at Christmas time. And they have crunched the data combining Instagram hashtags, global search volumes, a number of Christmas markets and snowy days in December to reveal this list. I mean, Sarah, come on. This is the list we've been waiting for, isn't it?
It is. I'm excited. I want to know more.
And so I have to tell you from the start, there is no Spanish cities involved in this list. So I think that says it all. This is the time for Northern Europe, okay? It's the time for Northern Europe. Christmas markets, I don't know if they do them so much in the US. I don't know, Sarah. I mean, do they do? Is it a thing in the US?
I don't know. All of our US
Probably not,
listeners are
right?
going to hate me. I'm very un-American these days. I've been gone for 14 years, Leo. I don't even know.
Probably
I
not a
don't
thing in
remember
Barcelona,
going
right?
to, yeah, I've been in Barcelona for 14. In Barcelona, there are quite a few Christmas markets.
There you go.
I feel like maybe in like the larger cities where people walk, like for sure there's Christmas markets like in New York and Chicago and stuff, I would imagine.
There you go.
But I feel like where I'm from, it's less about the Christmas market and more about going to see the lights. So
Okay.
like big parks and stuff will put up massive light displays and you drive through with your car with your hot cocoa. That's very American.
Well, I feel we need to create in South Carolina a drive-through Christmas market. And that's going to be our $1 million idea, Sarah. Drive-through
no.
Christmas markets. You heard it here first. Anyway, back to Europe. That's what we're here for. Okay. So the Christmas market is a wonderful thing. Like, Glühwein, so mulled wine, hot dogs, all of that wonderful stuff. Christmas music. They're a money pit, by the way. So just be very careful. They'll really fleece you in those places. Literally, you can buy a fleece there, or metaphorically, you will be fleeced there. But there's still a lot of fun. So we're looking at the map here.
Mhm.
In reverse order, in 10th place, the wonderful city of Oslo in Norway. Sarah, have you been?
I have not.
Oh,
No.
it's the best. It's the best. Well, I think this is outrageous that this is so far down the list. For Oslo in 10, you got Paris in 9th, Salzburg in Austria in 8th. My nearly home city that I lived in for so long, London, gets in at 7th, which is amazing because London does have really good Christmassy activities. Pipped by Stockholm, which is no surprise, another great city. Copenhagen in 5th, Munich in 4th, Prague in 3rd, Vienna in 2nd.
Mm.
I thought Vienna would have won. I think this is a bit of a controversial winner because I don't know if this is the most Christmassy city in Europe, but it's won the great city of Berlin.
Oh, womp womp.
Have you been?
I've been to Berlin so many times I can't count. I don't find anything Christmassy in Berlin.
It's clubbing, isn't it? It's clubbing and
It's clubbing and just
revelry,
terrible
isn't it?
weather, and I don't know. I did not have good experiences in Berlin, unfortunately, with the weather. I think I got like snowstorms every single time that I went, and people were like, "Oh, we love Berlin. It's beautiful in the summer," and you're like, "Okay, maybe I should go back in the summer." I feel like I don't have a good view of it.
I
It was
love it.
very
I agree with
clean.
you. I wouldn't go to Berlin in the winter, but I would go to. I mean, Vienna's a stunner. I thought Vienna would win. That's a wonderfully Christmassy place. Munich's also lovely in Prague. So yeah, we've got all of the Germanic, Nordic cities thrown in there. And then you've got Paris and London for good measure. But we're starting to see that travel season happening where people are popping away for a weekend just to go to those lovely Christmas markets. And dare I say it, if you don't like your family that much, why not go away to Christmas Day itself?
That's right. Yeah.
Sarah,
Even if you do love your family and you live abroad, Leo, let's clarify. I might be doing some traveling over Christmas, so I don't want my mom to think I don't love her.
Good point. And you did go back for Thanksgiving. So yeah, sorry, before I ask you what your FDR highlight is then, what are you doing for Christmas Day, my friend?
Oh, I have somehow allowed my partner to convince me to go somewhere cold. He loves the cold. I hate the cold.
Okay.
And boy, did he get his wish. We are going to Scotland for Christmas.
Yes, you're going to Edinburgh.
I know. Yeah, we're going Edinburgh, Glasgow, and a day in Stirling. So
This is phenomenal. Well done.
Yeah.
You're doing Christmassy cities. No, good.
I'm
with
really
him.
excited.
I'm with
I think
Mario
it'll
on
be good.
this. I'm with Mario. I think this is the right call. And does that mean you're in Edinburgh for New Year's Eve?
We actually fly back on New Year's Eve, so that was part of the deal. We have to be in Barcelona, but we're flying back. We get in at like 10 p.m. or something, but just enough time to come home, shower, change clothes, and
party.
go to our dinner party.
And party. Nice. Okay, I love it. All right, guys, we're gonna talk more about Sarah's Christmas coming up. Okay, so that's a quick look at Christmas. SDR operators around Europe, if you're in any of those cities, tell us what you're seeing demand-wise. I mean, clearly, actionable insights here. Clearly, it's all about focusing in the descriptions about how Christmassy your city is, putting Christmas trees in the properties. I know how people feel about that, but I like to change the photo reel slightly at Christmas and just show the winteriness of a place. Yeah, let us know. Sarah, tell us what caught your eye this week, my friend.
Yeah, mine is actually not such good news. So it is an article from Skift, where Booking Holdings has laid off 60 employees in their B2B arm. I think for me, the most interesting component of this was at the very end of the article. It mentions competition with Expedia being pretty steep for this. So this is all of the layoffs happened in a section of Booking's business that they acquired, which made up part of Rocket Travel. And so far, they're only in the US, which is also interesting to note because Booking has been making a really, really big push in the US, trying to gain market share there. But, as the article kind of cites, Expedia has a really great foothold there, especially with their B2B business. And Expedia's B2B business is a direct competitor of Rocket Travel. And in fact, B2B represents over 29% of the total company revenue of Expedia. So it's not business travel that is down. It just seems that there is something happening in Booking where maybe they need to reset priorities to get things right. And so hopefully this is not the first of many. It's just a one-time sort of layoff as they re-strategize. But it definitely caught my eye. I always hate reading stories about this, especially close to the holidays. I don't know. I just think about people and it makes me sad.
I agree. I think I see it the same way. I think maybe it's like they're taking their head out of a certain part of their business because they think they need to re-strategize later. And again, I think that market share thing with Expedia is very relevant. I don't think it generally means. I think Booking.com have had a pretty good 12 months when we've looked at earnings reports and things like that. But I think this probably is. Yeah, this is maybe directly to do with Expedia's success in that area and potentially going in a different direction with how they're going to tackle this part, which is, as we've again talked about a lot on the pod, such a growing trend within the big OTAs. This part of the market is one that they're all focusing on. So perhaps a strategic rethink sits behind it. Interested to see how that one shakes out. I did obviously more of a fun highlight. It would be wrong not to mention a couple of less exciting but important things happening in Europe. So France has rolled out nationwide legislation around short-term rentals. This has been coming for a while. Rafi was talking about this months ago. We've known this was happening. Coincidentally, the government in France seems to be slightly in peril again and seems to be shutting down. So I don't know what that means for the immediate future of the legislation. But I think potentially it's passed, and here we are. This is what we're faced with now, even if the French are looking for a new prime minister at the moment. And then interesting news in Lisbon. Obviously, like we know that they're taking the approach to give local residents in different areas more control, more autonomy. And the first test of this, I guess, approach is it looks like we're heading towards a referendum in Lisbon on whether they want to allow SDR or whether they want to put restrictions on it. Again, early days. We don't have huge amounts of information yet about how that will shake out or if it 100% will happen, but definitely worth noting. Where do we start? Where do we start this day? I think the biggest news that I was reading about, let's start here, Sarah. Let's start in Italy.
Yeah.
Let's start in Italy. So we know that it's sort of been a real political football, this idea of lock boxes. We've seen it, protesters in different cities, in France, in parts of Spain, in Italy, also in Scotland, protesters trying to remove lock boxes or, sort of putting glue in them and things like that. And it's become a bit of a symbol of short-term rentals around the world. So I start with that as the prism here, because Italy, an article in Short-Term Rentals, Paul Stevens, Italy has banned self-check-ins and lockboxes. So effectively using the lockbox as the symbol here of the self-check-in, when we know there are other ways to do the self-check-in, and we're going to get into those later because it's a really interesting debate. But they're citing security concerns, saying there's a risk of having people enter properties haven't been face-to-face checked by hosts because they're linked to criminal activity, gangs, terrorism, all of those things. I go back to what I said at the start, which was the political football element of this. But there we go. That's what the ruling said. Again, we know this is linked to over-tourism, in the perceived threat of over-tourism. And it's a really interesting approach they're taking now. So I've said, Italy's going a bit retro, right? Because for anyone who doesn't know my history in the short-term rental industry, when I started, full head of hair and a lot of enthusiasm for life, however many years ago, I wrote the check-in process for One Fine Stay. They were starting. They'd done a few check-ins. Their team the core team they had would just run out around the corner and do check-ins. And I was hired to build that check-in process, which I loved, by the way. I loved doing that. And we did this big push on face-to-face check-ins. And that was how we did business. And someone would walk into the building and you would greet them and you would show them around. You would do a bit of a face-to-face check. And then you would say, "Can I have your credit card, please? I'm going to take $1,000. It's going to take £1,000 from your credit card." And that was like getting hit in the face with a wet fish for these guests who just traveled across the Atlantic normally to be in London. Such that I think other property managers clearly found that to be the case. And as technology improved, everyone has moved to remote check-in. So Italy's going a bit retro. They're saying that they think the best way to ensure that someone is not fraudulent is to do a face-to-face check on someone. it's like they don't know that there is technology you can use. And I would, I can't name, I don't want to, it's very close to home, Sarah, for me, but it's like, there is software. There's software you can use to also do this. Sarah, what do you think?
Oh, I've got a massive soapbox on this. First, I want to know how many gangsters and drug lords are checking into Airbnbs. What is that about? Who even thinks that that's a thing? I don't understand. Like what kind of criminal is like, yeah, let me get on an Airbnb and rent an Airbnb to do what? What are you doing? I don't understand this. Also, you're totally right. I think this whole concept of not even exploring what is the check-in process, rather than putting a ban on self check-ins, just make it required to have a copy of the photo ID of anybody who checks into a property, right? So it's like they extrapolate to the extreme without understanding what's actually happening. I don't know. This one just really grinds my gears, to be honest. Because also as a user, it's really irritating. I don't wanna have to meet with somebody and maybe they're 5 minutes away and then I'm waiting to check in. Like, I would much rather just have a secure code sent to me or be able to open the door with an app. Or even sometimes, like, I don't know if I've never done this, but I'm sure there's could be some kind of connection through the OTAs, right? To open the app to ensure that person is the person that booked. Um, Maybe they could look at with the OTAs, making sure that person has a verified identity. There's so many ways to go about this that is not, let's go back to the 1970s, and require an in-person check-in. Like, I don't know. Also, to me, an in-person check-in leads itself to open to more criminal activity potentially,
Definitely.
right? Like if you're a
Definitely.
mobster, what are you going to do? You're going to pay somebody under the table to do a personal check-in, in-person check-in. I don't know. I don't understand. I
Yeah.
really don't get it.
It's such an interesting point around security, right? So, we have tools. Obviously, I sell one of them, right? That's well known. So I have skin in the game here publicly. You sell tools to de-risk bookings for people, and part of that is mitigation up front around who's coming into the property, so that you take people through a process. The other thing is legislating that in lots of parts of the world, they are in Spain's one of them. You require to see a passport number when you check into any accommodation. So there's
Yep.
things that can be done to make things safe. And what's not particularly safe is having someone just do a face-to-face without any like verification of those documents in the background. And it takes me on to a kind of wider point on the whole thing, which is, again, if we're stuck in the mud of having these debates about key boxes, things like that, then it's not really tackling any of the problems that we all are concerned about. What we're trying to do is make sure that like people are going at the right numbers at the right times of year to cities, and that things are being encouraged. I'm not going to get on my soapbox on that because I feel like I do it every week. But a lockbox is one thing, but what about a keyless entry pad? Are they banned? I mean, they're not on site. Like let's have the fight about what we really want to have the fight about. And all this stuff just feels a little bit skullduggerous to me, really. It doesn't feel right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the other thing that comes to mind with this is it's a threat to the industry. Like, think about if all of a sudden every single property manager in Italy has to have a human being do a check-in. Imagine properties that are in a remote location, for example, where they don't have somebody, on the ready. It's gonna massively increase the cost of operations, which means that it's gonna increase the cost of accommodation. Because ultimately all of those additional expenses are going to be passed on to the guest. I don't know. I just see it as making the guest experience worse, and not providing any additional safety. Like, I can sort of understand the idea of not having a actual physical key. So like maybe the legislation should be not around lock boxes, but just around any short-term rental property that has turnover of more than 10 guests a year or whatever the case may be. You can't have a physical key because that could be copied and then that becomes a security risk, let's say. But you have to use a lock. You have to use a keypad or keyless entry. That's fine. And then as part of the keyless entry, you can require that a passport or a document be uploaded that matches the information on the reservation, and that can all be done through software. So I would see that as it's almost like they should use technology to solve the problem rather than
Yep.
just let's let's go back to in-person check-ins. I don't know.
You've absolutely nailed it with that. That's exactly it, right? That would genuinely be progressive, and that would help move us on to a better place. And I really like your point as well about sort of more kind of rural, remote locations. Like it becomes very unviable. It's just not going to happen. I don't believe it's going to be possible for people. You're just making it harder for people to find the holiday that they want. And again, we should be encouraging people to take the road less traveled and go to remote areas to prevent over tourism. And if you make it harder to operate in those remote areas, it doesn't make any sense. I do think as well that travelers across Europe are looking for that more remote destination if they can find it, right? Like people want to look on the map search of a country and find dots everywhere that they can potentially go and find and put themselves about in. So yeah, it's a strange one. We'll keep an eye on it. Sarah, let's move on, my friend. And I think you're probably going to have some better data for us on it next week. We don't have it necessarily this week, but I think it's worth just introducing the idea of this discussion. I want to at least introduce it. So we've both been reading the Hostfully report, the annual report into the industry, which if people haven't read it, is worth looking at in terms of trends and what's happening. And they've highlighted the thing that I think we have noticed and talked about in different ways, but the steady decline in the dominance of Airbnb as the channel within the industry dropped in some areas as much as 8% in terms of people's hosts' overall distribution, and 3 or 4 in the most part. Really keen to hear from our property managers across Europe again. What are your experiences? When I speak to people anecdotally, they're talking about how they are taking more direct, more Booking.com bookings certainly, and then a really interesting factor here is the fact that people are much more likely to be working with PMS, and that's going to help them be put on more of the channels. And probably the PMS is building them a website and supporting them with the SEO behind that website, which really plays into Google's meta search play, which we know is on the rise. And according to the Hostfully report, Google is now responsible for 5% of the bookings that property managers receive, which puts it way above something like Marriott's Homes and Villas on 1% and Expedia on 2%. So clearly Google are also making steady inroads as well. It's really interesting. Again, it's a trend we got to watch because I don't know if it explains why Airbnb is taking the approach that it's taking in terms of talking about all the additional businesses they're going to build and do things like the co-hosting program. I don't know if this explains it, but it'd be interesting to see if that trend continues on into the year. Sarah, any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I want to challenge the report actually with some data.
Here we go.
So we do at AirDNA, we do actually track and follow pretty closely for the purpose of tracking the stock and kind of predicting where Airbnb stock is going to go. And so part of that is looking at actual bookings on the Airbnb platform. I think for me, the most interesting call out is overall, both nights booked and nights available, as well as the number of booked listings, is actually up. Across Airbnb, right? Across all types of listings. The growth is much slower for new listings, which I think is an interesting one. And in particular, when we look at the property manager segment. So what we would consider like a professional host with more than 21 listings, that new listings growth is actually negative compared with the same time last year. Having said that, I do want to call out that demand, so in terms of the number of booked nights, is highest. So there's been a 19.8, so almost 20% change between October of last year and October of this year in terms of the number of booked nights. So that has actually increased for hosts that are in that sort of professional segment. And when we look at the supply, we see a similar trend. So we're actually seeing in that 21 host segment, we're looking at a 31.7% increase since last year in listings that are actually available. And in booked listings, again, it's sitting steady at 13% growth year over year. So I would be really interested to see a couple of things. I even looked at the stats to see if it was a US only kind of phenomenon that maybe was being experienced, because I know that was mentioned in the article that, or in the report, that a lot of the majority of the users or that were surveyed were in the US. So I don't know. I will leave that up to the audience. Further investigation required, says my Inspector Gadget hat.
Great. I love
see.
it. I love that you brought the data. I didn't know you were going to, I kind of set you up to do that next week and you had it. Well done, you. Well done, you.
Yeah.
You're on it today.
It's almost like I work for AirDNA or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you're on it, aren't you? Well done. You've earned your paycheck today. Okay, interesting. Okay, well, look, as you can see, we're starting to get a bit more reflective as we start to come towards the end of the year. So we will, I think, spend some time reviewing how the year has been, as well as focusing on more Christmas markets that you must visit. You can expect both from us. You can unashamedly. We finished on time for once, so I think we need to lean into that, guys. Go and book your Christmas weekends away. Come on, it's Berlin, it's Vienna, it's Prague, and tell us where you're going. Send us pictures. Edinburgh, if you want to hang out with Sarah and Mauro, it's what more could you want? Sarah, thanks for your time. What have you got going on?
Not a whole lot. I'm going to I call it a concert. My mom says it's just going out. But I'm going to go see, I have a friend who is a DJ and he's doing a DJ set this afternoon. He's got like the early graveyard shift from like 7 p.m. to 8:30. So the tickets were free. So we're going to see him and support him. And then I've got some dinner, and then I'm actually going out. There is a DJ called Lily Palmer, who is in Barcelona tonight. And yeah, I'm really, really excited. So it should be good. So going out with some friends, and yeah, really looking forward to a chill weekend and a little hike on Sunday. So mix of going out and healthy lifestyle. What about you, Leah? What you got going on? Including a swim in the sea or in the ocean. So I'm expecting.
Yeah, I mean, December's feeling shorter now, isn't it? Now I've got to do it twice. So I mean, maybe I should go in now. It's such a nice day here. I really should go in. We're out. This is very exciting. We're out. Grandparents are coming to put the kids to bed. We are going for drinks. We're going on a date, guys. We're going on a date. We've not been on a date in probably 9 months. So we're going on a date.
Oh,
exciting.
Yeah. Where are you going? Where are you taking?
Just a cocktail bar and pub. Like this, we've got 2 options round the corner. If the kids wake up and they start screaming, we can run back. But it means freedom. It's our first taste of freedom for a while. So yeah, here we go.
And it's your first date as a married couple, Leo. Isn't that exciting?
It is, isn't it? It's exciting and also quite dreadful that you only get a first date as a married couple sort of 2 weeks into being married. Gang, thanks so much for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you have, please hit like, share, subscribe, and all the usual social places, or check out the other versions of our show. Obviously, you've got the main original Good Morning Hospitality with Will, Brandy, and Michael, and then you've got the hotel crew as well. So come and check us out and have a listen. Until next time, many thanks.
Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Lodgify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.